And it was never just about just trying to win one. Now you get to be mentioned with at least be in the same room with the other Celtics, great teams, the other great players. All the guys that I looked up to growing up at least won one championship. So now it's just a conversation of how great are you trying to be, right? What room or what tier are you trying to be mentioned in when it's all said and done?
In the past few days, I've been noticing Jayson Tatum making a lot of bold statements, more than what I'm used to hearing from him, which is fine. He's a champion. He could talk his talk a lot more. In one of those statements, he said he knew the Celtics were going to win the championship when Denver got eliminated, and went on to say how they were the best team to really match up with the Celtics. There's a lot more that he's been saying. I got some of the clips, audio, video that I'm going to play for y'all. This all started, of course, with Team USA. Jayson Tatum not playing much, getting DNPs. His mom was on Twitter asking, I don't know why they're not really playing my son much. Guys like Stephen A were saying you could play him for at least a few minutes here and there. The problem is, Team USA is not under pressure to have to play certain guys in order to gain exposure for the NBA, like the Caitlin Clark situation when she wasn't playing for Team USA, and with the exception of LeBron because he's the face of the league. And you got other teams that really caught up with USA. They had a close game against Sudan. They almost lost to Serbia in the semis. So Steve Kerr had his justifications as to the lineups he wanted to play, which gets into the main point of this video. Jayson Tatum was playing behind forwards at his position that were considered better than him on that team. Players like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis. In order for him to take that next step where he's seen as an elite superstar, he has to get in that bracket where people are now considering his name among those that I mentioned or even better.
Larry Bird's the best Celtic to ever wear this uniform, and that's the guy that I'm chasing. And even if I fall short of that, if I aspire to be as great as he was, and even if you fall a little short, you had a hell of a career. So my motivation is chasing, the best players to ever play, the best player to ever wear a Celtic uniform.
In order for Jayson Tatum to achieve this mark, he's got to win more championships, as he stated at the beginning of this clip. He's got to get more regular season MVPs. He doesn't even have one as of right now. And he got to get some finals MVPs as well. Here's the thing with Larry Bird. When he won his first championship, he did not get the finals MVP award. That was his teammate Cedric Maxwell. In that finals, when Larry Bird got his first one, he averaged 15 points per game, 15 rebounds per game, 7 assists per game, and shot 42% from the field. This is the legendary Larry Bird. I can only imagine the social media era, if it existed back then, what would have been said during these games when he was struggling. On the flip side, fast forward to 2024, as we know, Jayson Tatum struggled a lot in his first championship run. He averaged about 22 a game, got 8 rebounds, roughly 7 assists, shot below 40%. He still had a really great overall game. I wasn't around to watch Larry Bird and got to see what he did on the court for that finals, but I know when I was watching Tatum, he was still playing great defense. He was playmaking a lot, doing the little things on the court, precisely picking his spots, not trying to overdo things since he's not having the greatest of shooting when it came to the series. He really did a good job in deciding when to play aggressive versus when to let the game come to him, slow things down. You could argue that you're in the finals, you're trying to be a superstar, you got to go 100% full throttle. But he didn't really need to do that. The Boston Celtics won convincingly. And as long as they were winning and he's still able to contribute in other ways, if the ball's not falling as much, it's a win-win situation.
Just in the midst of the playoffs, and trying to manage, your rest and things like that, it's a little tougher. And I was still playing well, just wasn't shooting the ball as well as I would have liked. And obviously we were winning, so it wasn't the time or the place to, try to fix things. I talked to Joe a lot. Joe was probably the happiest person in the world that I didn't win Finals MVP and that I didn't play in 2 of the games in the Olympics.
Here's the reality of the situation. It just got to be said. As much as Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are brothers, I'm sure they got a lot of love for each other. Look out. If the Boston Celtics with this core win a couple more championships or more, and Jayson Tatum is not the driving factor, it's Jaylen Brown still getting these finals MVPs, it's not going to hold well for his case to be that legendary player that he wants to be. It doesn't mean I'm trying to split them up or start anything. It's just the reality of the situation. I don't know how to say it any way else. Even with the comments about Joe Mazzulla being happy that Jayson Tatum didn't play in a couple games in the Olympics, which I take as obviously a tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic kind of joke. But this is about perception when it comes to the MVP, the regular season. That's what I want to get into a bit. The media votes upon it. You gotta be that guy who's also looked at as a leader, number one scoring option, go-to person among even your superstar teammates when it comes to Team USA. That's very important as well. It would make his case stronger in terms of who they see Jayson Tatum as beyond the statistical performances that he has, or even the performance of the Boston Celtics, that leadership aspect. That's not me saying that he's a bad leader. I'm just trying to point out the intangible aspects that goes into the psyche of the voter when it comes to the regular season MVP award specifically.
Did I need any extra motivation coming into the season? No, I don't. I wouldn't. I'm not going to give anybody in particular credit that they're motivating me to come into the season.
This genuinely seems to be Jayson Tatum's stance, unfazed by whatever it is that is out there that he's supposed to be angry about, whether it's him being benched in the Olympics, the finals performance. The reason why I believe this even more is there's a quote from his trainer that he works with by the name of Drew Hanlon, and he had this to say apparently to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne. Quote, "I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's out for revenge. I don't think Jayson looks at it like that. He's like, compare my resume at 27 to Michael Jordan, who never won one at 27. Compare it to LeBron James, who had won one. Compare it to Steph Curry, who had one." Well, let's do that quickly, starting off with MJ. So Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, they started playing with each other in the 2017-18 season. Jaylen Brown was roughly 21, Jayson Tatum 19 at the time. It took them about 7 years to finally get that championship, which was this year, obviously. The thing with Michael Jordan is he didn't start playing with his sidekick, Scottie Pippen, who was also an All-Star and Hall of Famer, until he was 24 himself, Michael Jordan, and then 4 years later, they finally won a championship. In the case of Steph Curry, when he finally got his, he defied all odds by really being the first superstar a franchise built their whole team around that relied extremely on the three-point shot the way that he did, on top of the Warriors playing a small ball lineup. These were two things that were taboo at the time when it came to the philosophy of how to win a title. And in the case of LeBron, well, yes, he got scrutiny for leaving to go to the Miami Heat to join a superstar in Dwayne Wade, who already had a title. Though as the years went on, Wade's injuries kind of caught up to him. He wasn't always the same. Chris Bosh, great power forward, he's in the Hall of Fame. But if we're being objective about this, most people, talent-wise, from a basketball perspective, who would you want on your team? Most are going to take LeBron James. All of this, of course, does not take away from Tatum's resume. Michael Jordan had his time in the NBA. LeBron is near retirement himself. Steph Curry is not too far away. Tatum has a lot of time. He's on a good trajectory right now. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know how you're feeling about where Tatum is going, a lot of his comments that he has made. And as always, salute for listening. Peace.